So welcome back to the ORCHESTRATE AI podcast. I'm Daniel Storm, the founding president of the ORCHESTRATE AI Forum, a platform dedicated to accelerating responsive and inclusive AI adoption. Yeah? Today we're talking about exploring AI for good and what it means for communities that are often overlooked by the digital revolution and transformation journey. How can AI support community resilience, opportunity, and inclusion where infrastructure may be lacking, but where mobile access and human ingenuity are thriving, especially in societies that have a very strong young demographic? So with me today is my good old friend, William Gitau from Kenya, a seasoned grassroots community leader and advocacy voice, and founder of the Strong Farmers Initiative. He's been working for many years to improve the livelihood and resilience of rural communities. He will talk about this in this introduction. And in the ORCHESTRATE AI Forum, he's in charge of the AI for Good work group, as well as the AI for Farming work group. So we will hear much more from him in the future. Also with us, of course, is Dr. Arthur Kordon, the senior board member at ORCHESTRATE AI Forum and seasoned AI expert in terms of both research and application in industry and business applications. And very much looking forward to this conversation. And William, karibu sana.
Asante sana.
Let's begin with a quick introduction of yourself and how we got here. And and then we will go through our questions.
Good. I'm happy to be in this podcast today. And thank you, Daniel, for making these arrangements and inviting me. And I'm also very happy to be with Alda, who I consider as a senior counsel in one way or another because of his experience, particularly on AI. I come from a small community in the central part of Kenya, a village called Kaga in Kiambu County. And I have been working with the smallholder farming communities within and outside the country through being a member of different other organizations that help local farmers to thrive. And I started this 13 years ago. That's a long time. After I left my seminary studies, 2012. And I thought it was very good for me to go back to the community and try to uplift the living standards of my community farmers. The reason is I was born and brought up in this setup where everything here is about farming. And I realized through the interaction with the different communities and technologies that our local farmers are always left behind. After every innovations in agriculture, our farmers are always left behind. And that makes them strain so much and make it so hard for them to catch up with what is happening around the world. So that is basically where my passion is. And I cannot stress it more that I'm so happy to see AI into this field of agriculture, because I feel like it is the school, the school that would absorb people who have been struggling, looking for solutions. And I believe through the interactions that I have had, that AI is perfectly offering very practical solutions to smallholder farming communities.
Yeah. Thank you, William, for your introduction. And William and I, we have known each other since 2017.
Yes.
Been a long time since then. There was many roadblocks and disruptions in the meantime and stuff. And I'm very happy to have him on this journey. And I'm very much looking forward to have many conversations with other Williams from other regions and from other areas, because I really feel that there's more and more momentum and more visibility in this day and age to really bring the message across and to really join forces and collaborate around these very important initiatives and making technology work for the better cause. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
this is great to see. And it's great to have such a seasoned veteran, AI veteran with us, with Arthur. So let me jump right into the question. So William, how does AI for good as such align with your mission? And why is now the right time to address this and to seize these opportunities?
Well, I think this is a very good question for me. And AI for good aligns deeply. And I mean deeply because it helps my mission of empowering smallholders, youth, and local communities through agroecology, education, and technology. And for years, we have seen development models designing without the grassroots voices. And this is what gives me the drive, because we have a lot of programs designed but consumed by farmers without involving farmers in the designing stage. And I feel that AI gives us a chance to reverse that, because the person who is implementing should also be involved in the process of designing. And it also provides a platform where we are able to co-create inclusive tools that amplify local knowledge. And when I talk about local knowledge, is you see already farmers have a lot of experiences, and these experiences have very key elements that can be involved in research, in data collection, in scientific development around agriculture and farming. And therefore, it is going to help in decision making to all stakeholders involved in this and unlock new economic and ecological values. So AI for good is going to play a very key role because it's kind of going to recognize the participation of every stakeholder into agriculture without leaving the key person, that is the smallholders and youth and rural communities.
So if I can jump in there, if I understand correctly, and obviously we know each other for some time, and we will talk more about this later on as well, but you feel that it is not just a catalyst and a technological accelerator, but also a kind of vessel, a platform, a vessel that allows to capture, which has always been a great issue. We've talked about intergenerational knowledge getting lost. We talk about the siloed knowledge and farming practices of the different groups. You have the herders, you have the settlers, you have all sorts of different kind of farming communities. And what you're saying, if I understand correctly, is this is the first time there's an opportunity of having kind of a neutral ground, a platform. All of this information is captured separately, but instead of like being books on a shelf, where again it's siloed, it goes into a big bowl and being mixed and then being processed in order to provide the best answers and the best solutions and the most inclusive and integrated solutions, correct?
Squarely correct.
That's very interesting.
It's what I'm saying. Because you see, well, at the table of making all these designs and models, that we have the people who are going to implement, who are the farmers seated at the table and not listening, but actively participating in the formulations, in the designing and all that. So what this eventually would result into from AI for good is that farmers have easy approach in upscaling or uptaking or whatever they have to implement, because they have been part and parcel of age in designing. Unlike today, or where we have had farmers just seated out there waiting to be told whatever to do, becomes very, very difficult. And I would give a case which is happening like in our current situation in Kenya of the animal vaccination. If it is in the public domain that there has been a lot of resistance from farmers because they were never involved in when the program was being designed, but they are now told to consume whatever the Ministry of Agriculture, the government is saying. But if, for instance, using the AI and all that, we have farmers together with the Ministry of Agriculture saying this is what we want to do to our animals, it's going to be very easy. And then that accelerates even the rate of consumption of any innovations in the agriculture sector. So this is going to be a very good platform. And I feel like now the farmer is also going to start feeling like you're dignified in the community. Otherwise, today is like farming is for people who fail in every other field. And then the last thing they can only do is going to agriculture, which really demoralizes the smallholder community.
So let's go straight to the core. So what are the biggest challenges that rural communities face, and where can AI help the most from your perspective?
The challenges are quite enormous, and interestingly, without the advocacy like what I'm doing, I think, and I know many farmers have done what they have been doing without even realizing that they are participating in challenges. They are struggling in challenge. They are not aware in the first place that these are existing challenges. So they are linked many challenges that they face, and one of them is think about the unpredictable climate shocks. That a lot of discussions about climate change. Most of the farmers do not know what these discussions are, right? Because they kind of have a very consistent struggle with the weather, different weather pattern, and they feel it's like it's part of their farming activity. Number two, there is limited access to real-time agricultural advice, and this is where the AI comes in. When you think about the smart agriculture, precision agriculture, and all that, farmers have had a very limited access to this kind of advices and guidance. Number three, poor marketing linkages. They are so disconnected. Somebody produces their vegetables and it erodes in the sun, in the garden, because they don't have any linkages with the market. And I also observe a lot of lack of data for planning and advocacy. So a farmer just wakes up and feels like, I can put up some corns or some fruits, trees, whichever, because they have them in the store, or there's no planning, there's no advocacy of any sort. So I feel that these are some of the key challenges that farmers are going to address through AI for good. And I believe AI for good is also going to help by offering productive tools for weather, pest, and soil management. And there will also be smart voice-enabled voice surfaces in local discussions. Number three, real-time price update and access to digital marketplaces. Farmers, you have not even doing record keeping in their simple practices, and you realize their farming activities only make them poorer because you spend in the Kenyan currency 10,000 shillings, and then you have labor, you have farming inputs and all that, which comes to the production, the cost of production. It's perceived that one of selling. And since you don't have the market linkages, then any brokers come and exploit you because you're stuck with your produce in the farm. So the prices will always be below what you should sell to make profit, and they recover your cost of production. And last but not least, decision-making support for community-led resource use. This is going to be very, very, very key. And AI for good, when it look at the challenges, is also going to create a very good or great opportunities for young people who have gone to school, to colleges and others, and they are able to run a resource center for certain local community farmers, which they can know as experts with AI, help in management of their farming activities for local community.
So where do you, beyond the farming activities, because we have discussed this on other occasions as well, that pretty much the reality of the rural communities revolves very much around the three pillars: agriculture, health, and education. Public health, better education. So if you expand, because obviously we're not talking about AI for farming, but we talk about AI for good. So in general, what impact AI has on the rural community livelihood reality on a day-to-day basis. So where do you see the education aspect and the health aspect and other aspects as well? Financial literacy, for example, and other things also being supported through AI potentially.
And the impact that is going to be there is, when we're talking about AI for good, we are bringing everyone together. Many young people are not practically doing agriculture, but they can, looking at the education in terms of collecting information, data, and also using it to train in schools and also farmers. We talk about FFS, Farmers Field Schools, FBS, Farmers Business Schools. All these can be handled by the youth. And AI also is going to give a guidance on when you talk about the nutrition in terms of how is the health status of our soil. So it's able to guide us on what we need to do to improve the fertility, and therefore we will get the right quality type of food, safe and nutritious for our health. And of course, now agriculture part of it, the production and all that. So it's going to be a very holistic kind of a setup that AI for good gives the farmers for agriculture, health, and education, because everyone is brought together, and then they have very specific roles that is going to accelerate the agriculture business point of farming communities. Yeah.
So Arthur, where do you see the strongest potential for AI in underserved regions?
I see this in a marriage between the technical capabilities of generative AI, ChatGPT type of AI, with the social needs of these regions. Only with the with Gen AI, we can access almost everybody by the phones. 3 years ago, it was practically impossible. There was a very high requirement for highly educated people, for high computational needs, etc. Very soon, not now, AI will be available to everybody. And in the same way as social networks were integrated into the social world of these countries 10 years ago or 5 years ago, gradually AI will be introduced, which is a good opportunity. And what is very important from economic point of view is that this type of introduction doesn't require big investments. It doesn't require capital investments. Also, the education level is not very high because almost everybody can interact with AI in their natural language, especially if, like in Kenya, English is the language.
Yeah.
And also, what is very, very important, and I found it because I have experience from two countries of integration AI. The US, which is the easiest case from point of view of integration. It has all the positive requirements, to integrate the technology. But then is Bulgaria. And from my Bulgarian experience is that the elderly part of population is not very happy with AI. They are afraid of AI. But the young people, even the 10 years old guys on third, fourth grade, they were accelerated by AI. They know AI. They are using AI. And my prediction is probably that's reality even in Kenya, that the young guys will introduce the technology. The people at school, at the university, they already did it. I'm pretty sure. But very soon, even the guys at school will push the technology. And however, we have to have this into account. We have, I call it the administrative part of AI, the information part of AI, where the new technology, the chat GPT technology will spread very fast. It will help the information flow. It will help you understanding. But there is a physical part. Somebody in these farms must do the job. And this requires a lot of technology, a lot of machines. This stuff, it will be difficult to rely on AI soon. We have to be realistic and to know, okay, AI can influence the brain power, the decision making based on information, but changing the physical stuff, it will not be a fast process. We have to have this into account. But taking into account that the forecast about population growth tells that Africa will be second after Asia in 20 years. This is the big gap, the big needs for AI. This is the big opportunity, especially of this young population, which now is 10 years old, but in 10 years, this generation will drive the world.
Yeah.
Now the time to inject the AI thinking into their brains. And the key is, and I'm glad that William works in this field, has this understanding, is integrating the local culture into the global algorithms of AI.
Mm-hmm.
Google, Microsoft, you name it, OpenAI, they develop algorithms which are global.
Universal.
But these global algorithms, in order to become potent, really to work, they must be integrated into the local culture.
Yeah.
Even in the farms, what is more important? Each farm has its IP, intellectual property. How the techniques of dealing with with everything in the farm, it's unique. This knowledge has to be kept and captured like prompts. I'm speaking technically now, into ChatGPT. Now is the moment, by now I mean the next 3 to 5 years, to objectivize the local culture with prompts, local Kenyan prompts, Kenyan kitchen, Kenya's way to handle farms needs to be captured into AI. There is a different map now in the world. There is a geographic map everybody knows, but gradually there is the AI map, which is different. And mostly it is captured by the prompts, by the culture into the AI world. And it's a long process. And this is the most important process to keep the nation of Kenya. I'm helping for my own nation of Bulgaria to do the same. To me, this is of critical importance to save the nation. Otherwise, it will be melted into the global culture. And 50 years from now, the nations will not exist. Will exist the global algorithms that the tech giants are, which is terrible to me. I'll stop here.
Mm.
Okay. So, William, one reality, of course, is very prevalent on the African continent is the mobile affinity and the mobile first kind of daily reality of people. You know,
Yeah.
when we send money, we send it through M-Pesa. You know, if people don't know, Pesa is the Swahili name for money,
Yes.
and M-Pesa is mobile money. And for many years, I don't know exactly when they started, but for 2 decades, I would say almost, you have a very much established mobile payment system which was first introduced in Kenya, in fact. And Arthur, you talked about the social media platforms. I think, William, it's unthinkable to think of market access and of community dealings and everything without Facebook, for instance, Facebook Marketplace, and everything. Also, there are a strong affinity already for the digital and mobile first reality. So where do you see where this is coming in as a real effort and advantage in order to drive AI adoption in those regions? Because in other regions, it's pretty much the same. If you look at Asia, you look at Latin America, we also have these strong rural communities that have the same by readiness.
Yeah. I know, and Ada has raised very, very great points, especially when he mentions the culture. I see from the understanding I'm having about the culture and what the communities know about the culture. Talk about the 100 years ago, the culture of innovations, AI, technology. Many young people who are out of school and they spend a lot of time on their phones, have access to internet, very good penetration of internet and mobile services in local communities. Looking at how we can leverage this into the economic activities that smallholders are having. So, using all these social medias and the efficiency of internet and young energies, I will give you a very solid example. I have mentored a few young people in my village. And the reason why I did that was to engage them into something that can earn them a livelihood. Because once we have more young people, I know in the villages, there's a very high level of insecurity. Right? So they are already a liability kind of, but they're also causing a lot of other issues within the same community. So I told these guys, there were 3. you don't have to have an office. You have a smartphone, and we have farmers here and people here struggling where they can sell their cows, or they can sell their kales, which is commonly known as sukuma wiki in our environment here. So just go to churches on Sundays after services, tell people what you do, so that they can start giving you work. If somebody needs to sell even land, they go there, take very good photos with all the details, and then they upload this to their socials. If somebody needs to buy a heifer, a young cow, they do the same with all the history. It's there. And then people start following them. And then once they see a photo posted there, they give them a call. Hey, can I come and see what you're selling? So once the client comes, there's an agreement between the farmer and these guys that will, any sales we make, we get 5% out of it. And they are doing very well. Today, if you go to the website and you search any land you want to buy from central Kenya, you're most likely going to find them. If you need to buy a cow, we have a very aggressive dairy farming activities around here. You have cooperative, one of the most successful in East Africa, called Fresher Dairy Cooperative. People do great work in dairy farming, but to some extent, as you say, they are stuck when it comes to the marketing part of it. So this young people are very critical in accelerating AI for farming. And I have 4 points. One, they are able to localize the solution. So they co-create and localize the solutions because they are not reinventing. This is already in existence. So what they're doing is they're bringing their knowledge and their mobile phones, their computers into agriculture. And then they look at the prevailing challenges for the specific communities, and they customize the solutions and they make them local. And farmers are becoming very happy because the level of exploitation has been very high, very, very high. And most of the people who are exploiting farmers, they just don't want them to have access to information. So young people are able, because they also have doing this to change the life of their parents.
Yeah.
Number two, very fast, they need to translate AI outputs into local action.
What do you mean by that? What do you mean by that?
The local actions is, you see, I don't know whether you have integrated with communities in different parts of the world. If something like today, talking about avocado farming, there's a hype. There is a hype. But an expert, like from where I sit, I would see a lot of gaps. Practically, a lot of gaps. Farmers are doing very good work, but when it comes now to harvesting, grading, and looking for the best buyer, they are lost. So the local actions is what completes the farming business of this community. You are able to do that because they are able to live between the market and the processing in terms of grading, certification, and all that, which a farmer doesn't know. Actually, they don't even want to be bothered with that. If you tell a farmer to go through the certification process, they don't want to hear anything like that. They have grown their avocados, that is it. But they also need money. So we need local action, which completes the process of farming for these communities. Number 3, digital literacy is required into this area. And training hubs now gives the platform for this, and they can be done in different ways. Whether it is, having 25 minutes after the church services, or organizing with the area chiefs, to call for meetings for farmers, or working with small self-help groups, or going to schools and talking to the primary students groups Like we have OK Club programs in schools about agriculture. And lastly, is turn farming into high-tech, climate-smart career. The dignifying farming is part of this because, as I said, most of the people are into agriculture not by choice, but because they are forced by circumstances to get in it. Everything else has failed. They have no job in formal sectors, and therefore they can only go back home and start doing farms. So most of the farmers actually have no formal knowledge about farming. It is the last thing that they want to do because they have failed on everything else. And the youth, as I have seen, are able to enhance all this and make farmers start dignifying agriculture because they are able to make livelihood out of it. And the realization that everybody needs food is a very key factor in AI and also in farming business. Daniel.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yep.
So if we look at the reality of on the ground, in Kenya, you only have like 40 tribes and many different tribal languages. In other countries like Nigeria, it's much more. South Africa, much more. But already, if you look at those 40 tribes and the different level of literacy, not just digital literacy, but literacy literally, and local dialects, lack of access, lack of education. How do you feel AI could be, and that's a question for both of you, Arthur, as well. How can AI become a kind of equalizer, overcoming these barriers and creating a common level playing field for parts of the communities and groups who have previously been disadvantaged and underserved because of their living circumstances and their lack of formalized education and stuff, and language barriers, obviously, as well.
Can I start before other comes in? That's a very good question, and I think it's something that is going to solve so many things far and beyond just agriculture. I want to give an example. The governance model here, top using counties. So we have 47 counties, which in Switzerland you call, is it called?
Canton.
What do you, cantons.
Yeah.
We have a very unique governance per county. And there is an example that I have of a neighboring county called Muranga County. The governor I'm actually slightly elder than him. I think he is 38 or something, a very young guy. But he is ranked as the best performer. Now, what he has done, he has gone to different colleges and universities in Kenya and picked smart guys in IT with different tribal backgrounds. And they have put them together as a team to manage the activities of that county. They showcased them and they say, this is from this, the name. Of course, you will know by the name. So the moment you see how these people are working, you see another tribe. You can say now if we have 42 tribes, you can say we have 43, there's 43 tribe of people with the same mind who have broken down all the 42 other tribes and they are working as a unit, as a force. And this has been provided by AI and information. As far as somebody has gone to school, they are so prepared to work without barriers of their tribes, which is also very good in managing the stereotyping that you have had in this country. So it's something that is so beautiful in its nature.
Yeah.
And then you also
unifier. It's a unifier.
Yeah. Yes, and I think we need this in a big way because also understand the part of politics that capitalizes on that kind of a narrative. But now, if I need services like even in agriculture, I need to search for a specific uh, person who can offer me specific services. And I'll get any names, mostly from these guys in the university. And they are starting as early as once they enroll in the university program. Because, I mean, they have been born in a phone era. It's not like somebody who has been introduced to the phones when they are at 50, 60. These people have been born. So a phone is not a new thing. So they only need a platform.
And
Yeah.
they call it digital natives. Yeah.
Yes. So that is what I would say. The AI for good. This is very, very important in breaking down all the negative attitudes that we have had in our communities.
Isn't it really more exactly basically to the point that we are using technology and AI in this example in order to address common challenges that are transcending all barriers between the different groups and focus on creating and eventually celebrating and communicating solutions. Like, I'm a big believer in quick wins. Yeah. You look at, what are the key issues that everyone has, regardless of their gender and background and language and social background, whatever. And now that's demonstrate how this specific technology is helping us to provide a quick win, a quick fix to this. And it actually works. And it actually creates impact. And that, of course, creates buy-in. It's what I also call always like the Lighthouse effect. Yeah, you create one example, you celebrate it, you communicate it, and it becomes an example of what's possible. And then you have the early adopters and the early movers. And it is, once the gold is out of the bottle, it's difficult to put it back in. So it leaves no room kind of to the naysayers.
Yeah.
Because the other people would just keep on going. And especially the young generation, they would just find a way forward. They would find a path forward, especially considering the demographic development over the coming 10 and 20 years. So exactly like Arthur said, yeah. Okay, that's a great example. Yeah, Arthur, you have any additional thoughts on this?
No.
Okay, so so we go back to the farmers. Obviously, AI for good is in general, and there's a lot more to talk about this, and we'll talk about Africa and stuff. And but if we talk specifically about farmers, and we talk about smart agriculture, you know some of the examples that we looked at in the past, which is not accessible for many people in different regions because of regulations, because of the cost, because of the hardware. You need to put sensors in the ground, and you need to have data, and you need to pay for this and that. And this obviously is not a feasible option. Yeah. But if you look at AI, and if you simply already take your phone and you take a picture of a certain crop, or you take a picture of a certain situation in the soil, and you ask AI and say, hey, what's happening here? Or what kind of bug is this? Or what kind of pest is this? Or what kind of plant is this? Is this a weed, or is this something I can use? Yeah. Or this is the space. What would you recommend if I wanted to plant a permaculture garden, for example, or whatever? Yeah. So, or you have a corn cone, maize, and you're growing it, and it comes out in a certain way and shape or form, and you take a picture and say, hey, here, explain to me the reason why it looks like this. I feel this is a very low threshold entry point into using technology for farming that so far has not been available to these communities, because they would always have to go through a smart farming service provider and pay for it. And in this case, that is kind of cutting out that kind of middleman. That's my perspective. So how do you see that? How do you see AI can support with diagnostics, with soil health, with climate adaptation, and all sorts of stuff?
I practically know that technology but specifically AI, is kind of that expert who you need in your farming who is available at your disposal. Like you can consult anytime.
And you can put in your information, your specific
Yes.
situation. And if you can't
Yes.
articulate it, you simply take
Uh-huh.
a picture and say, for
Uh-huh.
example,
Yep.
this is my herbs
Yep.
garden,
Mhm.
and there's thyme there, there's rosemary
Yes.
there, there's mint
Yes.
there, whatever.
Yep.
And then you can ask, for example, how do I process this? How can I dry this?
Mhm.
What do I need
Mhm.
in order to make it market ready? How can I
Yes.
preserve it? You know,
Mhm. Yeah.
you can come up with the questions as you go, and you don't
Uh-huh.
even have to be you don't even have to know the specific terms or whatever, because you
Yep.
can use the visual element like it was
Mhm.
never possible before.
True. And also and I have this experience. The moment I start engaging the AI in a certain discussion, kind of a lot of information that is consolidated. So today, if I go to my computer and I ask a question, it automatically calls my name. William, this is an excellent question. So it's kind of a conversation that's going on between me and the AI. And then it's able kind of to get into my mind that this is what William does. This is his line of activities. And therefore, this kind of information is going to be very relevant to him. No. If you go to very specific areas of farming, like those who are talking about organic farming, agroecological practices, there are those who are into synthetic farming, is also able to, you're able to feed with some knowledge, and it's also able to help you with some information that would actually be very helpful when you have certain local input, especially when you're doing organic agriculture. You have seen people doing a lot of vermi composting, and AI tells you if you use this plant and this plant, then you're able to have very high quality product that you can use in your farm when you're growing item A, B, C. No, if you have an elderly person at home and a youth who is out of school, they are able to work as a company. And this youth is able to get all this information and then give to the mother or the father, and they have very wonderful produce. I have seen it happening. I have a number of people who are already doing this practically. Somebody spends a lot of time on AI, asking questions, learning together, and then take that information to the
And the
to the
adoption will
mother.
automatically come with a success.
Yes.
Once they see, oh, this has been working out. I don't know what's
Uh-huh.
going on in the background. I don't care,
Yeah.
Just like you don't have to be an engineer to enjoy a V8 engine,
Uh-huh.
You
Yes.
just like the result. And
Yeah.
this is what I think is so important, is
Uh-huh.
to have an entry point. And to me, this is the young generation.
Mhm.
And you have an entry point, which is the need, a very immediate and clear need.
Uh-huh.
And then just the very first try and saying, just ask, if it's GPT or something else, just ask the question like you would ask your grandmother or the farming capacity trainer or whatever. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
It's the same kind of conversation. And once they realize it's not that
Yes.
hard, this is exactly what I need to do. And I actually get something out of it. And the
Mhm.
more conversation I have,
Uh-huh.
and the more pictures I show of my farm, of the soil and everything, the
Yep.
more value I will get. And
Mm.
then automatically it becomes a natural part of the journey. Even if you know what is the right process,
Mhm.
you may still want to consult it in order to validate your assumptions, which
Mhm.
again is enriching your relationship in terms of consolidated knowledge
Yeah.
for your local reality. Yeah.
Mm. True. And as you say, this entry is very, very key, especially when it is coming from the young people, because there is something that our farming activities have not done for very long. I don't remember it's being done, but today it's happening. These young people, as young people, are also documenting traditional wisdom. using AI. You digitize and you document, because there is that kind of knowledge that these elderly people have had, and it has served them, it has worked, but it has never been documented.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're able to listen to the old woman, and then you go to the AI, key in that information, and then you're able to have a very holistic approach. So it's also happening in a very, very good way. And it's kind of causing a lot of excitement. That realization, how much information that we have, and we can also enhance with what AI has to have a certain product. And I have seen a group which has a booklet generated from AI, and they are producing organic fertilizer, composted, but because they have very nice kitchen gardens, the Ministry of Agriculture extension officers are bringing farmers from other places to come and learn. Then these young guys are selling those booklets to them, right? So they get some information from the grannies and also use the AI, then come up with a book, prepare a demo fax, and organize for trainings, partner with different groups and organizations, and then they're making more and more and more money out of the information part of it. Yeah, so that's a crucial point, and I think AI is going to provide a lot of solutions to unemployed youth across the globe, not only in Kenya.
Yeah.
And now these youth are also smart enough to customize the information depending on the economic activities of the region that they are.
Yeah. Okay, great. Arthur, another question for you. What do you think developers should do differently to make AI work in low resource settings like the one that we're discussing?
That's exactly to be in support of the last example, where I think we should go. The strategic direction is to, as I mentioned in my previous answer, is to blend the global capabilities of AI with the local culture. That's the winning strategy. But in order for this to happen fast and effectively, it's good first to invest in a strategic methodology how to do it. Now, yeah, you had the case that William told. In ad hoc, you had a solution. It's a great solution. But it's good that it's not only for one area or for one type of population. It's good to have a consistent methodology, number one. Number two, what is the more difficult part in this type of countries is it's more difficult, these ideas to be linked with the business. It's easy in the education, as it already had happened. But to push the business, because it requires investment, it requires more strategic thinking, we need to have some funding for that. And here, each local government is good to allocate some money for that. It's very difficult to be done on an individual level. And that's, to me, and here from all these countries, for example, in Africa, those will win long term when they invest now in their future in building this business AI class, if I may use. It has the support of the young guys from the education. But for the business, you need to allocate the use case. What is the real business need in the economic structure of Kenya, for example, where we need to focus to make the business investments? This is the part. Don't expect this to be done by AI. Don't expect this to be done by Google. It's your job. It's the job of the local community to do it and to push the government. But to me, that's what we could expect, and to ask the big developers to reduce the cost of the AI. This is the only thing that we could ask and expect for them. But in order to make the AI introduction into the country successful, this is our job. We need more effective education. We need to include the business for that. And above all, to build a business strategy and methodology, how to integrate the AI technical capabilities with the local culture.
It's
That's
really around
it.
real world use cases. This is really what is the starting.
And the world was okay. It's Africa is big. Maybe let's first look what's a good use case, a low hanging fruit.
Yeah.
From uh, uh, Tanzania, even what's
Yeah.
from other uh, from Nigeria or from Angola or whatever. Let's integrate the local experience. Stop only looking at what's going on in San Francisco.
Yeah.
Now, if I were you, I don't care what's going on in San Francisco.
Yeah.
I already have it in my computer what they delivered. What matters is what they had already delivered, how to use it to improve the life in Kenya.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
my job.
Okay. Yeah.
That
Yeah.
depends on my creativity. Even to push the government, okay, don't spend money on this, don't spend so much money on police that will kill me, but spend more money on, developing a business. I know how difficult it is. I lived 39 years in my life in a communism.
Yeah.
I know what dictatorship is.
Yeah. So so slowly coming to an end, but very, very much making this tangible. William, what kind of AI for good projects or partnerships would you like to see in the next 3 to 5 years? Looking at building underground success stories and cases in communities like yours.
That is very exciting. When you talk about 3 to 5 years, I feel like I really need to see great things happening during my time. Like I need to see these successes, but particularly, I want to see communities owning up AI tool. So when you talk about certain region and looking at all the activities, you can just go to certain tools and you get a lot of information from that region. And these tools should have local governance and resource tracking. So that then it doesn't become, it cannot be replicated, and any other people who are getting into it, they don't have to do much. They already have tools to use efficiently, and then they can always register a lot of successes. Number 2, I want to see AI-powered farm field schools that adopt learning to local needs. Because the exchange of knowledge is very crucial, but other factors like the population and logistics are changing the dynamics. So you're able to, instead of going from one region to another, can have a system where you're able to get the information of that particular place that otherwise you would physically visit. Number 3, we need to have, and I need to see partnerships between agribusinesses, grassroots movements, and AI labs We need to have very efficient AI labs and then very good partnerships within this setup of AI, because we already have those kind of partnerships, but they kind of have not integrated AI into their programs. And I also want
You
to
mean
see
capacity building, really? Yeah? Capacity building programs in farming.
yes,
And where you talk about agribusiness, you talk about the big fertilizer and seed companies and machinery companies who are involved
in the
in those.
restaurants and markets and all these
Okay.
people, put together. And now I want to see open data set that farmers contribute to and benefit from.
Yeah, that's very important. That's a very, very, very important thing that we actually have not attended. Or
Yeah.
is to capture the collective intelligence, like we used previously this term, from the field level. Yeah?
Yes.
And use
Yes.
AI for that, which obviously is a natural consequence of feeding AI through those interactions,
Yeah.
because it will capture the local reality, but also in terms of public health and stuff, having
Yes.
local field data and interrogate that and process this into meaningful insights and actionable insights. This will be a major, major accelerator. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yes. Sure. And above all, I want to see AI that unlocks dignity,
Mm-hmm.
to these communities, to everyone, and no dependency. Because today, people are depending on programs and institutions that they feel kind of they are frustrating them in a bigger way. So I want something that unlocks that. So people can be able to be free, get more information, interact with more people, and benefit. Yeah.
Supporting that
That's what I would love to
see and empowering them, creating the solutions on a local level for themselves.
Yes.
Because this is the thing, it's when you go through the process of using generative AI, you are not just getting a quick fix for something that you're looking for at the moment, because you are the one who's starting the process, because already you have to. Everything depends on how you ask the question or what a question you ask.
Yes.
And when the result comes, you own the result and you own the incremental knowledge and you own the work product of that process as well.
Sure.
So it's a very empowering journey. And yeah, so I hear what you're saying there. Absolutely. I believe Arthur, please.
And what I could add is that in order to increase the local level, here, the technical issue is that we need more local data. I'm pretty sure that ChatGPT and all these LLMs are not well trained with local data from Kenya, for example, relative to what they have for Florida. So what we need to do is, and this is a local issue, is to push as much as possible to feed anything, pictures, anything with local data.
Yeah.
The same story the same case you mentioned about this book, about the local culture. It has to be spread everywhere, not only, but then to be pushed to be entered into the LLMs. And I can tell one thing. Bulgaria is not bigger than Kenya, but Bulgaria has their own LLM. So I think it's possible within the financial capabilities of a country like Kenya to have their own LLM and the full control over the culture. Because
like
what does it mean?
Yeah.
This is the only way to have control and shape the AI, to shape Kenya in the AI map. Otherwise, Google will shape. Kenya will be such as Google will decide to be, or even worse, OpenAI.
I was a little bit amused because it came to my mind, and it's exactly right what you said. And here we have a little bit of a schizophrenic situation, because to my knowledge, especially Kenyan youth and Kenyan contributors have been extensively used to train those language models
Oh yeah.
for
Open AI could not exist without Kenyan,
exactly. But
hundreds of Kenyan help.
at the same time, not being requested to feed local wisdom and local solutions and what we are talking about here, but
Yep.
to simply unload, all sorts of general knowledge to the system through interactions. So on the one side, yes, the African community has been part of the journey actually, but not in a qualitative way, but simply in a quantitative way. Very interesting thought to consult. And I think what you said is regarding building an African LLM. I would not even call it a Kenyan LLM, but
At the end, that's it. But it will be politically or whatever,
but very interesting.
organizationally, extremely difficult.
Yeah, very interesting thought in general. Yeah.
Extremely difficult. For now, my thought is the biggest strategic fundamental danger is
Yeah.
global culture imposed by tech giants and LLMs.
Yeah.
Which, if we don't respond, will smash the local culture.
Yeah.
50
So-
years from now, all of us will speak English
Mm-hmm.
if we don't resist.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And all of us will answer in the same way to any question because our thought will be shaped from an early age above.
I'm not sure what the French
If
would say
we
about this.
if we don't respond now,
Yeah.
now is the time in the next 5 to 10 years to respond, to say no. We have to find mechanism to protect our brain, to protect our local culture.
Yeah.
Because you see the younger population, they are excited by AI, they're jumping on it, but they sacrifice something very important, their culture.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And we have to resist on that. And I think that Orchestrate AI, one of their key, this my motivation is to keep the resistance.
Create awareness. Yeah, great. And then this brings us to our last question, which is very much a follow-up to what Arthur just said. So to both of you, what's your message to young Africans about becoming AI creators and not just users?
I can start. So there's only something hidden and narratives all around. And for far too long, we have had people talking about young ones as the future of anything, the future leaders, the future business people, the future. Like the future has never stopped being the future. I want to talk to the youth. AI is here. Do not wait for the future.
Mm-hmm.
You are the future. The now, and other is saying, if you don't respond now, we'll be messed up. Do not wait. Because it's a narrative of conquering young energies. And this is what is causing a lot of all these issues we are seeing in different countries. It's a revolt because the future has been suspended for far too long. So we act, and we are going to act because AI is at your disposal as young people. And we need more local solutions. We don't need, our communities do not need more of imported solutions because maybe they are designed in different climatical conditions which do not fit ours.
Yeah.
So you need to sit down and act now, customize that which is relevant to us. We can integrate with other values from other regions. And then we bring a lot of creativity and local intelligences. whether we are in the city or in the villages. The ideas and our languages and our cultures matter in AI. So I agree with Alda. The issues to do with the culture, we must never lose it. And we can only protect it if we actively participate in it. But if we let importations come forth, it's going to sweep everything that belongs to us. And so that then we can fix what is brought to us. Let us learn and test and build. Build for people, not just for platforms and people. Let us be creators, because we will solve problems that are relevant to us from the roots up. And Africa, particularly Kenya, does not need to catch up. We need to lead, and we can.
Yeah, great. Thanks, William. William, Arthur, you have anything in mind?
No, great message. But we have to have this into account. Now there is a big enthusiasm, as you mentioned, especially the young guys. But if this enthusiasm that's driven by the opportunity to touch AI on your phone is not matched with some changes in your life, physical life, I mean, in your status of life, in your job, etc., in the next 3 to 5 years, it will have a very bad negative effect, because the hopes of AI are high. Now is the time not only to spread it and to push this flame of enthusiasm, but to do something to change our life. That's the key. The hope must be materialized.
I feel, maybe to close, I feel that there's three main things that we talk about here. One is that the big players have to ensure low threshold, low cost, and sustainable, because they can switch it off anytime, access to these solutions. Local value creation is key. So look at what are the key pain points, what are the real world use cases locally with the local people, and create local solutions for local communities, and leveraging and feeding actually and capitalizing on local knowledge and traditions, also in terms of creating a universal diversity on the level of the global algorithms that are being developed, so that these communities are not being left out of the conversation of creating an algorithm and enriching and feeding an algorithm, which is actually supposed to reflect the reality of the world and not just of San Francisco, let's say. Yeah. And then with regard to your point of everyone speaks English, as I said, I'm not sure if the French will agree with that, but this is for another conversation.
The Chinese.
Yeah. So thank you so much for this conversation. It was great to catch up again, and I'm looking forward to have more of these conversations with additional guests as well. Great thanks to both of you. And if this episode has sparked thoughts, reflections, ideas, we'd love to hear from you, from the audience. You can visit our website, orchestrateai.org, or reach out to us to join or lead any work groups, regional chapters, propose any collaborations or anything. We're very open about this. And you will see that, like we already discussed today, we are very eager also to launch and facilitate pilot initiatives and tangible field level projects around these things in our further roadmap forward. Yeah. So thank you for tuning in, and see you again in the next episode of the Orchestrate AI podcast. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye, Ada.